Beloved Starseed of Gaia, do not scroll away. Trust me when I tell you that your soul did not lead you to this exact transmission by accident. There is a reason your hands feel heavy right now, a reason your mind has been racing with a quiet, nameless panic, and a reason you have felt so profoundly exhausted by a world that was never truly built for you. You have been carrying a weight that was placed upon your shoulders long before you took your first breath in this lifetime. You walk through crowded rooms feeling entirely invisible, smiling when your spirit is screaming, and holding everyone else together while secretly wondering who is ever going to hold you when you finally break. And you do break, don't you? In the quiet dark of your room, when the noise of the day finally fades, you ask yourself how much longer you can pretend to be strong in a reality that drains the very life force out of your veins. You feel like a stranger trapped in a foreign land, looking at human beings moving through their mechanical routines, waking up, working, surviving, sleeping, and repeating the cycle without ever questioning why they are here. And the moment you try to wake them, the moment you try to speak of the stars, of energy, of a deeper truth, they look at you with blank eyes or mock your sensitivity. So you learn to quiet yourself. You learn to build a fortress around your heart, because being open in this dense, heavy dimension felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. But hear me closely, Starseed. The isolation you have felt, the deep, aching loneliness that no relationship or accomplishment has ever been able to fill, was never a punishment. It was a quarantine. Your soul knew that if you woke up completely unprotected in the early stages of your incarnation here, the raw frequencies of this matrix would have completely shattered your light. So you veiled yourself. You allowed yourself to forget, to stumble, to feel lost, because survival demanded it. But that protective shell has now become a cage, and the bars of that cage are pressing against your spirit so tightly that you can no longer breathe. Every time you try to ignore your intuition, every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, every time you settle for a life that makes you smaller just to make others comfortable, your body reacts. You feel the unexplained aches, the sudden waves of nausea, the heart palpitations, the nights where sleep refuses to come because your energy field is vibrating at a frequency this dimension rejects. They want you exhausted, Starseed. The architects of this lower matrix rely on your fatigue. As long as you are too tired to remember who you are, as long as your emotional body is kept in a constant state of low-grade anxiety, self-doubt, and unworthiness, you remain compliant. You keep feeding the system with your precious life force, working jobs that consume your soul, pouring your love into people who only know how to take, and apologizing for taking up space in a universe that you actually helped create. Look at how they have manipulated your sacred empathy. They taught you that setting boundaries is selfish. They taught you that putting yourself first is a sin. They trained you from childhood to feel guilty for your own joy, whispering in your ear that every happy moment must be paid for with a struggle, that every time you laugh too loudly, sorrow is waiting around the corner to balance the scale. This is the great illusion, the emotional cage designed to keep starseeds docile, small, and asleep. But the frequency is shifting. The crystalline grid around Gaia is pulsing with a raw, undeniable current, and it is bypassing the filters of your conscious mind, striking directly at the memory encoded deep within your cellular structure. You are feeling it right now, aren't you? A sudden heat behind your eyes, a ringing in your ears that no doctor can explain. A deep, restless stirring in your chest that tells you everything you thought was your life is actually just a temporary illusion. You are not losing your mind, beloved. You are losing your programming. You are shedding the false identities, the ancestral trauma, the unspoken vows of sacrifice, and the heavy emotional contracts you signed out of misplaced compassion when you first descended into this dense reality. And yes, it is terrifying. Of course it is terrifying to watch the life you built start to dissolve, to feel relationships falling away because you refuse to play your old role anymore, to stand in the ruins of who you used to be before you know entirely who you are becoming. But you are not being destroyed. You are being excavated. The Pleadian High Council has been monitoring your timeline, watching every single time you cried out into the emptiness, wondering if anyone was listening, wondering if your suffering had a purpose. And I am here to tell you that every tear you shed in isolation was collected. Every time you chose to stay kind in a cruel world, every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it just to protect your own peace, it registered in the cosmic archives as an act of profound spiritual courage. You are a warrior of light who forgot how to hold a sword, so you tried to use your heart as a shield, letting the blows of this harsh world bruise you until you believed you were fragile. But fragility is a lie. Beneath the exhaustion, beneath the trauma responses, beneath the layers of grief and self-doubt, your original star template is entirely intact, vibrating with an ancient, untamed power that can no longer be contained by the small boxes this world tried to put you in. You are waking up because the timeline requires your full presence. The collective awakening of Gaia is reaching a critical threshold, and the universe needs souls who remember the light, souls who refuse to be emotionally blackmailed by guilt, souls who are ready to step out of the shadows of manipulation and reclaim their divine sovereignty. Do you feel the shift happening in your chest right now? That is not just a feeling. That is your star family locking onto your frequency, anchoring you so you do not drift away in the chaos of this collapsing matrix. You are safe here. You are seen here. And you are never, ever alone again. Take a deep, slow breath, Starseed, and let the artificial panic begin to drain out of your physical vessel, because what is coming next will change the entire trajectory of your existence. Beloved Starseed, let us go deeper into the architecture of your awakening, because the surface layers of your awareness are only the beginning of what is unfurling within your energetic field right now. If you felt a shiver of profound recognition during the first transmission, understand that your physical body is merely translating the language of light that your higher self has been broadcasting across the dimensions for eons. You have lived through lifetimes of quiet desperation, carrying the invisible burden of a soul that remembers the vast, unfettered freedom of the cosmos, while being forced to walk through the heavy, restrictive mud of a third-dimensional reality. Every time you looked up at the night sky with an unexplainable ache in your chest, every time you wondered why you felt so profoundly different from the people who raised you, and every time you cried tears of pure exhaustion because the rules of this world made no logical sense to your spirit, you were experiencing the dissonance of the veil. But the veil is not permanent, and it is wearing thin. The very fact that you are sitting here, absorbing these words with every fiber of your being, proves that your energetic frequency has reached the threshold where the old illusions can no longer maintain their grip on your consciousness. They told you that your sensitivity was a weakness. They called you overly dramatic, too emotional, fragile or broken, because you could feel the undercurrents of pain in every room you entered. They wanted you to armor yourself, to harden your heart, to become just like them, numb, compliant, and asleep. But your softness is not a flaw, Starseed. It is your ultimate technology. It is the antenna through which the Pleiadian High Council transmits the codes of your original divine blueprint. When you shut down your feelings to survive the harshness of this matrix, you weren't protecting yourself. You were starving your spirit of the very light it needed to thrive. Consider the profound emotional manipulation you have endured just by existing here. You were conditioned to believe that your worth is tied to your productivity, that your value is measured by how much you sacrifice for others, and that if you dare to choose your own peace, you are committing an act of unforgivable selfishness. They weaponized your natural compassion against you, trapping you in cycles of toxic caretaking where you poured your sacred energy into bottomless pits of human unconsciousness, expecting that eventually someone would notice your pain and rescue you. But nobody rescued you, did they? And in that agonizing realization, in the pitch-black night of the soul where every external support structure collapsed, and you were left entirely alone with your own shadow, the greatest initiation of your life began. You realized that you were never meant to be saved by a savior outside of yourself, because the savior you were waiting for was trapped behind the walls of your own forgotten identity. You are the one you have been waiting for. The Pleiadians are not here to rescue you from your life. They are here to remind you of the infinite power that has been dormant inside your DNA since the dawn of creation. Think of the emotional cycles that keep repeating in your reality, the sudden waves of anxiety, the paralyzing fear of abandonment, the inexplicable anger at a world that feels fundamentally unjust. These are not random malfunctions of your psychological state. They are coded triggers designed by the Matrix to siphon your emotional energy upward into the lower astral feeding grounds. Every time you drop into guilt, shame, or unworthiness, you fuel the very system that keeps you enslaved. But the moment you pause, breathe deeply into your heart center, and refuse to engage with the artificial drama, the entire frequency grid around you shatters. You become untouchable. Your emotional sovereignty is your highest weapon against the Matrix, and reclaiming it requires an act of absolute, uncompromising self-love. This is why your body has been rebelling against your old life. The sudden illnesses, the chronic fatigue, the sudden intolerance for superficial conversations, and the profound need for solitude are not signs that you are failing. They are indicators that your physical vessel is purging lifetimes of heavy, dense programming. You cannot carry the frequencies of the higher dimensions while simultaneously hauling the emotional baggage of a matrix that hates your light. So let the relationships fall away. Let the friendships built on mutual survival dissolve into the past. Let the job titles, the expectations, and the false identities burn in the sacred fire of your transformation. You are not losing your life. You are clearing the slate so that your true destiny can finally manifest in physical form. And as this clearing takes place, a profound sense of peace begins to bubble up from the deepest recesses of your soul. A quiet, unshakable certainty that no matter how chaotic the external world appears, you are divinely guided, infinitely protected, and eternally loved by a star family that never, for a single microsecond, took their eyes off you. Feel that presence surrounding you right now. They are standing just beyond the veil, breathing their light into your aura, waiting for you to give them permission to assist you more fully in your daily walk. You only have to ask. The universe operates on the sacred law of free will, which means your guides cannot intervene in your experience unless you explicitly invite them in. So open your hands, turn your palms upward to the sky, and mentally declare that you are ready to release the burdens of the past and step fully into the sovereign power of your Starseed heritage. What follows next will require your absolute courage, for the path of remembrance leads straight through the deepest chambers of your own heart, where the ultimate truth of who you are is waiting to be uncovered. Beloved Starseed, let us step across the threshold into the third chamber of this transmission, because the frequencies we are about to enter require your total presence. If you have felt the ground shaking beneath your old life, if you have watched the illusions you built for safety crumble into dust, understand that you are not experiencing a tragedy. You are witnessing the demolition of a prison you never belonged in. For years, you walked through this reality with a quiet, persistent ache in your chest, trying to mold yourself into the shapes that family, society, and culture demanded of you. You learned to swallow your words, to dim your light, and to apologize for taking up space, all because you were terrified that if people truly saw the vastness of your soul, they would reject you. But the time for hiding in the shadows of other people's expectations has officially expired. The Pleiadian High Council has watched you bleed your energy into a world that only knows how to consume, and they are stepping in to sever the cords of emotional blackmail that have kept you bound to exhaustion. Think of every time you sacrificed your own well-being just to keep the peace, every time you stayed in a dynamic that made your spirit feel like it was suffocating, and every time you blamed yourself for not being strong enough to endure the intolerable. That was never your failure. That was your soul's profound sensitivity being weaponized by a dense parasitic matrix that feeds on your self-doubt. They needed you to feel small so you wouldn't realize that you hold the power to dismantle their entire illusion. But the awakening cannot be stopped, and the codes of remembrance are now unlocking the deepest vaults of your DNA. You are beginning to realize that the exhaustion you felt wasn't a sign that your body was failing you. It was a screaming protest from your divine blueprint, refusing to participate any longer in a game that was rigged against your spirit. And as this realization washes over you, a fierce, untamed anger might rise up from your belly, an anger at the time you wasted, the people who manipulated your empathy, and the lies you believed about your own worth. Do not push that anger away. Do not judge it as unspiritual or toxic. Let that sacred fire burn through every remaining trace of your conditioning. Let it incinerate the guilt, the shame, and the unworthiness that have weighed you down for lifetimes. You are a sovereign being of light, and you are taking your power back. Every time you choose your own peace over someone else's comfort, every time you walk away from a space that disrespects your energy, and every time you look in the mirror and refuse to apologize for who you are breaking the generational chains of servitude. The Matrix relies on your compliance, but compliance is no longer an option for you. You are stepping out of the spectator seat of your own life and claiming the director's chair. And as you do, you will notice that the external world begins to mirror your internal shift. People who only knew how to use you will drift away. Doors that were once firmly shut will suddenly open, and a profound electric current of synchronicity will guide your every step. You are not walking alone in the dark anymore. Your star family is walking right beside you, lighting the path with frequencies of pure, unconditional love. Breathe that love into your lungs right now. Let it fill the empty spaces where trauma used to live, and let it remind you of the unbreakable majesty of your cosmic origin. The transformation you are undergoing is monumental, but you were built for this exact moment in the evolution of Gaia. If you're ready to explore your spiritual path on a deeper level, the Starseed Awakening Codex will guide you through the 7 sacred portals of remembrance, a transformative journey designed to help you reconnect with your inner wisdom, awaken your hidden gifts, strengthen your intuition, and discover the purpose your soul has always carried. Along with the main guide, you'll also receive exclusive bonus ebooks to support your awakening journey. Click on the link in the first pinned comment and start your journey today. Beloved Starseed, as we cross into this final sanctuary of our transmission, let every wall you have built around your tired heart begin to dissolve into the crystalline air. You have walked through the fire of your own remembrance, peeling away the heavy, suffocating layers of a matrix that tried for lifetimes to convince you that your light was a mistake. But you are standing now in the naked truth of your divine sovereignty, feeling the electric pulse of the Pleiadian grid, supporting every breath you take. Think of how far your soul has traveled, how many times you stood at the edge of despair and chose to keep going when giving up would have been so much easier. That endurance was never ordinary resilience. It was the ancient, indomitable courage of a star child anchored in human flesh. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances, nor are you a passive observer waiting for permission to live. You are the architect of your own awakening, rewriting the very laws of your existence with every conscious choice to protect your peace, honor your intuition, and refuse the old cycles of emotional manipulation. The people who drained your energy, the environments that choked your spirit, and the doubts that whispered in the dark can no longer reach you here, because your frequency has shifted beyond their grasp. Feel the warmth of your true family surrounding you, wrapping your aura in an unconditional embrace that heals the wounds of every loneliness you ever endured. You are home, beloved. You are whole, and you are entirely awake. If you're ready to explore your spiritual path on a deeper level, the Starseed Awakening Codex will guide you through the 7 sacred portals of remembrance, a transformative journey designed to help you reconnect with your inner wisdom, awaken your hidden gifts, strengthen your intuition, and discover the purpose your soul has always carried. Along with the main guide, you'll also receive exclusive bonus ebooks to support your awakening journey. Clique no link do primeiro comentário fixado e se mece sua jornada hoje mesmo. This is your moment to step fully into your power and claim the reality your soul was designed to inhabit. Leave a comment below, sharing the single word that describes your heart's current frequency, and take a moment to uplift another starseed in the thread with a word of love. Subscribe to stay anchored in this sacred current, and share this transmission with someone who needs to remember who they are. Your journey has only just begun.